Joining me now is Melissa Murray, MSNBC legal analyst and NYU law professor, and John Heilman, MSNBC national affairs analyst and host of the Hell and High Water podcast. Thank you both for being here this evening as we sift through the chaos, once again, of what happened in Mar-a-Lago. John,
that's one word for it.
Yeah, it's a family program. If you didn't like the big lie 1.0, there apparently is a 2.0. Is it an upgrade? What do you think of it? I mean, it's more outlandish. Is it more effective?
I mean, if the question is, does it animate Trump's base? It definitely does. If the question is, does it make voters who are in the middle of the electorate, who are a lot of the suburban voters who won the election for Joe Biden, along with big turnout from the base in 2020, and who in a lot of quarters have been drifting they're back towards Trump. They're in and out. They don't like Biden's economy. They're not with Biden. But every time that Trump does this kind of thing, it just reminds people of something in our amnesiac country that can't remember what happened last Tuesday. They can't, Donald Trump wasn't so bad. The Trump years weren't so bad. We see this in the polling all the time. When Trump does this, it's making it about him. And when he makes it about him, he makes it about, your word, chaos. And chaos in the suburbs of Philadelphia, in the suburbs of Milwaukee, in the suburbs of Atlanta, chaos is not what those kind of soft Republican voters want. It's why they ran away from him in 2020. And he keeps pushing it in their face.
Yeah.
It's a real risk for him politically, and I don't think it helps on net. I don't think it helps at all.
But, I mean, there is also the bigger question of what it does to our democracy, right? I mean, the after effect of 2020 and the big lie is voter suppression laws enacted across the country. And, when you hear about the RNC and these they have 18 election integrity lawsuits across the country, there was a response to the preposterous falsehoods that were circulated by the Republican Party and Donald Trump, and state legislatures responded. Should we be paying more attention to this?
No, I think we have to pay more attention to this. It's not an unfamiliar trope that they are rehashing. It's not terribly original. It's the kind of thing that you typically would find cooked up in a meth lab of conservative grievance, this idea that all of these new arrivistes from the global south are replacing your vote. I mean, it's kind of a species of replacement theory, and it's meant to trade on the same fears of demographic change and losing your country. And the response, I think, has been quite swift and immediate. There are more poll watchers who are now authorized to be there. And not only are they watching the polls, they might be intimidating certain voters from casting their votes. There are more laws now that require individuals to provide more proof to show that they are not non-citizens. And even though we know that the prospects of non-citizens voting is glancingly rare, the incentives are terrible for non-citizens to vote. You won't change the election with your vote, and you could be deported or go to jail. So, I mean, the incentives don't play out. But it has cashed out in a wave of laws that are designed to suppress the vote among certain voters under the auspices of limiting election fraud, and election fraud that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that solving a problem that doesn't exist. There's also, when we compare it to 2020, John, I mean, in the aftermath of January 6th, there was, for a minute at least, the institutional firmament of the GOP rejected the narrative that they rejected January 6th, and to some degree they rejected some of the big lie. That all changed. Kevin McCarthy went down to Mar-a-Lago, took a photo. There's not even that pretense anymore. Right. There is Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, having a press conference to talk about proposed legislation to deal with the problem that doesn't exist, which is more outlandish than, I think, many other theories we've heard from the GOP.
Well, let's be clear. I mean, look, this is the least surprising thing in the world, in the sense that Mike Johnson was one of the was not just a follower, not just a lemming on the big lie and on the attempt to overturn the election. He was one of the primary architects of the big lie and the strategy to put in the fake electors. This is a guy who's been down with that program from the very beginning. It's part of the reason why he's Speaker now. He has no other qualifications to be Speaker. He doesn't know anything about the House and how it works. He's probably learned a few things in the however years since he's been Speaker, but
has it even been that long?
It has been, I think, about that long at this point. But he's not someone who, on the basis of anything else, would qualify. Unlike Kevin McCarthy, at least who would put it all the time, who understood parliamentary procedure. Mike Johnson is there for one reason. He's the most big lie-ish, most MAGA-y candidate who survived that carnage that they inflicted on themselves a year ago. So to have him down there doing this is not surprising. I will say it's incredible, though, because just on a purely political basis, you don't get to stay Speaker if Republicans don't keep control of the House.
Yeah.
And everything Donald Trump is doing, he wants to get rid of Obamacare. He shoots down the infrastructure, the immigration and border bill. He's tanking Ukraine aid. He's going against everything Mitch McConnell thinks is in the interest of the Republican majority. Donald Trump is tanking, including Mike Johnson's own FISA thing this week. It's like here, Trump's
the humiliation is absolute.
It's incredible, and it's politically toxic. He just does things that are by whim, by caprice, and that are, in his view, good for him. But he is guaranteeing with every move that the Republicans will not still be in the majority after November. And hey, Mike, guess what? If you're not the majority,
you're not the speaker.
You're not speaker anymore. So it's not even it's craven politically, but it's also incredibly, it's like suicidal.
Yes, it's cutting off your nose and eating it to spite your face. I had to say that.
Yum.
To that end, the one thing that John left off that laundry list of like ridiculous things Republicans are taking a knee on at the behest of Donald Trump, abortion, right? In the same press conference, Trump is asked about his position. There's two pieces of sound, control room. I want to play the one where he talks about what is happening at the state level and the harmony therein. Can we please play that?
What we did was give it back to the states, and now the states are working their way through it. And you're having some very, very beautiful harmony, to be honest with you. You have some cases like Arizona that went back to like 1864 or something like that, and a judge made a ruling, but that's going to be changed by government.
Okay, first of all, it's not on the ballot yet. It would be changed by the voters, not the government. Is it a beautiful harmony? What was that?
So that was a word salad. If harmony is the sounds of women bleeding out in parking lots because they're septic and they can't get the treatment that they need after a miscarriage, and I guess that's harmony.
To Donald Trump's ears.
Well, I mean, this is someone who doesn't understand how government works, like literally how a bill becomes a law, and also has no idea what the reproductive cycle is. I mean, it's like, are you there, God? It's me, Donald Trump. And
joining me now is my friend, my brother, James Clyburn, Congressman representing South Carolina's 6th District. Good morning, my friend. How are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Democrats have voted with Republicans in recent weeks, helping Speaker Johnson pass a bunch of different bills. How do you feel about yesterday's event with Trump and Johnson and Mar-a-Lago affects the ability for Democrats to continue to work with the Speaker?
It was a shameful presentation on the part of those two gentlemen, but I don't think that's going to have a whole lot of impact on what Hakeem Jeffries and the leadership of the Democratic Party is going to be about, because we will always put this country over any candidate. And it seems as if the Speaker is putting candidate Trump over the country of these United States. And we will never do that. We ran on the platform of putting people over politics, and we'll continue to do that. And so when it comes to preserving this democracy, moving an agenda forward to benefit the American people, we will set aside the politics and not worry about this press conference full of bad information, misinformation, disinformation, just outright lies. And that's what they were doing. When you have a study done of 20 years of elections in this country and find out that less than 3 or 4 dozen of people voted illegally. We don't know exactly why they voted illegally. I don't know if they thought they were legal, whatever may be the case. We're talking about less than 0.0001%. That, to me, is what that press conference is all about, trying to create something out of nothing